heritage maintained by those who wear the uniform tonight. As you enter this banquet hall, you should have noticed that before us tonight stands an empty chair and a single lone table draped in black, signifying all of our fallen comrades who are not with us this evening, because they have given the full measure of devotion to our country and to our beloved Corps. The single lighted candle reminds us of the flame of eternal life and the memory of our fallen comrades who will be with us always. The Purple Heart Medal is displayed to reflect the shedding of blood and the ebb of life in battle. The identification tags are blank, yet they could bear the name of any of us here tonight. Only a few Americans choose the dangerous and necessary work of fighting our nation. For those of us who carry on that legacy, it is our obligation to honor those fallen Marines. As Marines gather in celebration of our history, we gather in the shadows of greatness. Though our fallen can no longer participate in our traditions, they will always be a part of us and who we are. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise.
If you're willing, please join me in a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, tonight we gather to celebrate 243 years of the United States Marine Corps. The ferocious legacy of our fighting force is really a testimony to your faithfulness. It was you that inspired the boldness of a PFC Luther Skaggs to not only assume command of his section after its leader became a casualty in Guam, but to continue attacking the enemy for 8 hours after his leg was shattered by a grenade dropped in his foxhole. And then the audacity he had to crawl out unassisted after you granted 3-3 the victory. It was you that equipped Corporal O'Malley with the valor to race across an open rice paddy and jump into an enemy trench line to conquer 8 of his enemies during Operation Starlight. It was also you that not only spared the life of Corporal Garrett Carnes after stepping at an IED in Helmand Province, Afghanistan.
Marines serves as a reminder that the title Marine is not restricted by gender, color, or creed. It is a warrior spirit and distinguished role earned by an elite group. This year also marks 50 years since Marines fought ferocious battles against a worthy foe in some of the most austere locations of Vietnam. Cutting through the mountainous triple canopy jungles and overcoming the challenges of urban combat during the Tet Offensive honed the war-fighting prowess of our Corps. Hard lessons. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the entrance of the commanding officer and our guest of honor, and remain standing for the march onto the colors, the national anthem, and the entry of the traditional birthday cake.
by resolution of the Continental Congress. Since that date, many thousand men have borne the name Marine. In memory of them, it is fitting that we who are Marines should commemorate the birthday of our Corps by calling to mind the glories of its long and illustrious history. The record of our Corps is one which will bear comparison with that of the most famous military organizations in the world's history. During 90 of the first 146 years of its existence, the Marine Corps has been in action against the nation's foes. From the Battle of Trenton to the Argonne, Marines have won foremost honors in war, and the long eras of tranquility at home, generation after generation of Marines have grown gray in war in both hemispheres, and in every corner of the 7 seas, that our country and its citizens might enjoy peace and security. In every battle and skirmish since the birth of our Corps, Marines have acquitted themselves with the greatest distinction, winning new honors on each occasion, until the term Marine has come to signify all that is highest in military efficiency and soldierly virtue. This high name of distinction and soldierly repute, we who are Marines today have received from those who have preceded us in the Corps. With it, we have also received from them the eternal spirit, which has animated our Corps from generation to generation, and has been the distinguishing mark of the Marines in every age. So long as that spirit continues to flourish, Marines will be found equal to every emergency in the future as they have been in the past. And the men of our nation will regard as worthy successors for the long and illustrious men who have served as soldiers of the sea since the founding of the Corps. J.A. Lejeune, Major General, United States Marine Corps, 13th Commandant of the Marine Corps.
Right.
Andrew Cece, Sergeant Major, retired, United States. 1973, Soufriere, St. Lucia, West Indies. He enlisted in the Marine Corps in June of 1994. Is currently assigned to 3rd Battalion, 3rd Marines, as Battalion Sergeant Major. The passing of the King from the oldest to the youngest Marine symbolizes the passing of history and traditions to the next generation. The youngest Marine President is Private First Class Zachary Fortin. He was born on September 26, 2000 in Boston, Massachusetts. He enlisted in the Marine Corps in March of 2018 and is currently assigned to Kilo Company as a rifleman.
All right, hey, happy birthday, Trinity. And look at your date and say thanks for doing what you did to get ready here for tonight. Because it goes beyond any kind of torture that I'm sure we can ever imagine. Yeah! Please stand up, join me in a round of applause for the beautiful gals here tonight.
That's a good one.
All right, hey, a lot goes on for an event like this. And over the last week, it's become painstakingly obvious to me that there's a few fellas that I owe a whole lot of gratitude for. First off, First Sergeant Ray, probably about a year ago, he's been coordinating, negotiating this thing for about a year with the Hilton. And I can't tell you, thank you. Can't tell you thank you enough. Second to First Sergeant Malum, who coordinated a ceremony, went back into drill instructor mode, and I think the detail did a great job. Staff Sergeant Iredale as well did a whole lot of running around over at PTA, allowing us to focus on training at PTA, keeping the main thing, and making sure we had a good night here tonight. So thanks very much, Staff Sergeant. Pack band. Other than the summertime and the shit command season, this is probably the busiest time of the year for you. I know you guys are sacrificing a long weekend to be here with us tonight. Thanks very much. And I think it's only fitting. We're here tonight to celebrate the history and traditions and the proud lineage of our Corps. We've got a couple special guests with us here tonight. I'd ask you to either stand or raise your hand. With the Marine Corps League detachment from here on Oahu, here, the Aloha detachment of the Marine Corps League. You guys raise your hand, stand up if you can. Hey, thanks very much, Scotty. You guys epitomize really what it means, once a Marine, always a Marine. Continue to serve our Corps in many ways out in the community, and we're fortunate to be partners with you. Thanks for all you've done for 3-3, and all that I know you'll continue to do. I'm definitely looking forward to get my hands dirty in there, cleaning up some monuments, and work with you guys. As a part of recognizing our Marine Corps League here, I'm going to ask Mr. P.T. Brent to come and say a few words and introduce a guest of honor, Sergeant Major Cece. And Mr. P.T. Brent, he's a good friend. He's a great friend of our Corps. He's a former Marine infantryman, NCO. He's been there, done that. And then, he's done a lot of other things, but also beyond just being a Marine infantryman, I think it's pretty unique to point out that he was an embedded correspondent 3 times, on 3 occasions, in Iraq, Afghanistan, and then places in Africa. All with Marine units, and extremely loyal to our Corps. We're lucky to have you tonight. Mr. P.T. Brent, thank you very much, sir.
Marines?
Yeah, try to keep captured.
Marines? First, it's time to also thank Colonel Ben Reed. His job is to train about 900,000 Marines get ready to go to war. And you just came from Pakaloa, PTA. I was up there a couple years ago, and I've also been with Marines in many faraway places. And let me tell you, I'm not sure I ever wore the same fabric, the same uniform. Our Marines today are the most sharply disciplined and aggressive fighting force the world's ever known. We have the best Marines ever, right now. Now I'll do a couple of sea stories. I was asking another colonel named James Reed, retired down in Texas, and who also worked at the 3rd Marines for a while. And he told me, and a friend of his also, they're not here tonight, Colonel Walt Ford, because they're both at the commemorative anniversary of World War I in Paris, France. And a couple of days ago, when I was having lunch at the K-Bay, I found out, somebody started scuttlebutt, that they were company commanders working under General Lejeune back at that war. But to figure that out. And Colonel Reed, that's Jim Reed, he told me that when you talk to Marines or birthday, you must have a good sea story. Does anybody here know the definition of a good sea story? You, Sergeant Major? Sergeant Major Noel told me, and he'll remember this in a minute, a good sea story didn't let reality get in the way, is that right? Okay, these three stories are both from a time machine. The first one goes back to 1903. 1903. General Christmas, the founder of our museum, told me when a Marine, the name of the story is Once a Marine. He said when a Marine arrives at Quantico, a new recruit, or arrives at Paris Island, the only boot camp, there's a mystical set of hands that goes into their chest cavity. And it opens it up, and a small branding iron goes in there and puts the eagle globe and anchor on their heart. Well, I have a case like that that occurred back in 1903. A young man named Michael. His parents, Patrick and Diane, had just come here from County Donegal, Ireland, and they had a son and a couple of other daughters, and things were kind of rough. And 3 years later, when Michael was 3 years old, his mother died. So his father shipped him and his daughters to a family, some relatives out in Great Falls, Montana. Things were rough out there, and Michael was unhappy. So he ran away from home a few times, went into a state orphanage a couple of years, then ran away from home more. Finally, when he's 14 years old, he joins the U.S. Navy. Oh, come on now, those corpsmen are pretty good guys. And he joins the Navy, and a few months later they find out he's 14 and they discharge him. Comes home after another year or two, he joins the Army and serves 2 years in the Army, gets an honorary discharge, comes home. Then finally, in 1920, he sees the great light. 1920, on 10 November, he joins the U.S. Marines. I thought you might like that. Then, so he goes away, becomes a China Marine, is in the Philippines for the insurrections there. Finally comes back to Montana. Things are kind of rough. So he goes to the copper mines. He's had no education. Goes to the copper mines. He becomes a mucker. Now, I don't know what a mucker does. Do you know, Sergeant Major? Sergeant Major's working. Okay, well, I don't know what a mucker does, but I don't want to be one. So, but he meets a young lady named Maureen. She's a high school teacher, and they get married, and she kind of helps out on his education. Before you know it, without having attended high school for one day, she has him in the University of Montana, and he graduates, goes on for a master's degree, tries to be a high school teacher, the Ku Klux Klan won't let him. So then he becomes a college professor. Finally, after a couple of years, he runs for the U.S. Congress and loses. Just like a Marine, he went and ran again. And he gets elected, serves 10 years in the House of Representatives in D.C. Then he gets elected to the Senate, serves 24 years as a senator. In fact, for 16 years, he was the longest running leader of the Senate. And during that time, he passed the first legislation on equal rights. And in the late 40s, when Harry Truman was trying to get rid of the Marine Corps, he passed the Douglas-Mansfield Act, which guaranteed 3 Marine divisions and 3 Marine Air Wings forever. That's the way it goes, Harry. So anyway, so he goes 24 years, retires. But President Carter sends him to Japan as ambassador, and he becomes arguably the finest ambassador they ever had. 2 years later, Reagan sends him there for 8 more years. They built a statue to him. In fact, they even wanted to put a tomb there when he died. He was revered in Japan. Comes back home, tries to retire again. And the different presidents and administrations keep sending him on diplomatic missions, and he keeps working till he's 98 years old. And he went to work every day. And just a few days before he died, he stopped going to work, and he passed away at the age of 98. Now, the president wanted to put him up on the VIP section of Arlington. The University of Montana Library, named after him, had a special place for him to be buried. Japan even offered a place. But where do you suppose this incredible man, Senator Mike Mansfield, is buried? He didn't want that. So if you go to a very quiet section 2942 at the small little corner of Arlington, you see a white little plaque. And now remember, this man was in every branch and has every credential there was. And on that plaque, all it says, Michael Joseph Mansfield, Private, U.S. Marines. Next time you hear taps being played, think about that lone Marine in Arlington. Now, I have one more short sea story that someone's going to pay the price on. Sergeant Major Cece. This is a time machine. We're going down in the future, the year 2060. We have a little farm out in Kapolei, and there's a really decrepit old man in green boots and camis and green t-shirt. He's on this tractor. And he's sitting there, and the tractor's all weathered. It's one of those John Deeres with a green and yellow one. It's got Sergeant Major Andrew Cece on it, but you can hardly read the name. It's got a Sergeant Major stripes. It's got OIG and OEF on it, a whole bunch of his credentials. The guy's punched every ticket it is. He's been to all the war zones. He's been to DI. It's got all sorts of stuff in the tractor, but it's all faded away. He's plowing along, and all of a sudden here's a big bang, and a bird falls out of the sky, falls between the tractor and the fence line. And then he looks up, and all of a sudden the big dude's coming down. The guy about 6'5", one of those fancy guys with the shotgun shells and a big 16 gauge. And the guy says, "Hey, old timer, it's my bird. I'm coming over to get it." Then the sergeant major he's a really decrepit hardy. The guy can hardly hang in there. It's pathetic. So he looks at the old timer, and he says, "No, it's on my property. It's my bird." And the big guy says, "You know who I am? I'm Ralph Leibowitz. I'm the toughest New York attorney you're ever going to meet, and I'm going to litigate one side of your body down the other if I don't get my bird." The sergeant major says, well, here in Kapolei we don't know much about litigating, but we do the 3-kick rule. And the big guy says, "What's that?" He says, "Well, I get off the tractor and I kick you 3 times. You kick me 3 times. And whoever gives up first, the other guy gets the bird." The big 25-year-old looking guy says, looks at this pathetic wreck and says, "Okay." So he goes over, puts down his gear, stands there. Sergeant Major jumps off, and all of a sudden he's like a infusion of adrenaline. He looks like he's a 30-year-old awesome Marine again. I knew you'd like this part. Then he marches right up to that New York attorney. He takes his right boot and he plants it right where the Mississippi and Missouri meet. Wham! And the guy cripples over, and then he goes over and whacks him in the calf. And then the guy's in pain, and the guy falls on the deck. He goes over, one more kick right in the ribs. This lawyer's breathing and breathing, and he's trying to get his air, and finally, after about 5 minutes, he crawls over the fence, slowly gets up there, and he looks at the sergeant major, and he says, "Okay, my turn." Sergeant major looks at him and says, "Nah, that's okay, you keep the bird." And I want to introduce you to the most critical rank in the Marine Corps, the one that always intimidated me the most, Sergeant Major Cece.
Thank you, PT. It's going to be hard to follow PT, but appreciate it. And it's still my bird. Happy birthday, Marines. I'm going to tell you, it was when I received the call from First Sergeant Ray, he doesn't know this yet, but I was recovering from a kidney stone surgery. And it was no fun. I handled it though, it wasn't that bad. Just don't ask my wife how much I was whining. So I was on drugs a little bit, recovering. First Sergeant Ray called. "How you doing, Sergeant Major? Would you like to come to the ball?" I said, "Absolutely." He said, "We'd like you to be our guest of honor." And I was cool with him on the phone. I said, "Hey, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. That's cool. Of course, I would love to. That's my alma mater. 3-3. Of course, I'm coming back." Hung up the phone. Did a backflip, a front flip, popped some stitches, and whined for the next 4 or 5 days. Right after that. But it was well worth it. I'm happy to be here. Thank you all very much. I'm telling you, this is an honor. So our Major, Colonel, thank you very much. Appreciate the invitation. This is, again, my alma mater. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else tonight. I do have some thanks also before I give you a small C story. Not as good as PT's. The band, I know they have to take off. They take off because they're doing 4 or 5 balls a night. So when you do see the band before an event, shake their hand and tell them thank you, because it truly is. Those guys work really hard. And I love the band at heart. The ball committee, I'm telling you, I know as a sergeant major what goes into a ball planning, so I appreciate everything you guys have done. I'm telling you, from the escort to the planning years out, or a year out, working with the hotels is not that easy. The hours of preparation, you have other things to do. So again, this was a beautiful, beautiful ceremony, and please, everyone give a round of applause for that. I'm glad I'm not in charge, so I can just sit back and relax. But it's almost over. So it's almost over. I'm going to relax. They also allowed me to bring some guests tonight, so I'd like to just recognize them. Tony and Jolene Diaz. Thank you guys for being a part of my life, allowing my family to be a part of yours. It's been a great experience. Years ago we met, a fellow Marine helped me in tremendous ways, and now I'm lucky enough to work for him and his wife, just spreading the love of veterans, helping veterans. God bless you guys. Thanks for coming tonight. Scotty B, who you met earlier, his beautiful wife Arlene, Marine Corps League, he is the commandant and he is kicking butt. So if you have a chance tonight, come by and see Scotty. We're going to bring Marine Corps League to a new level. So thank you guys for coming. Happy birthday. Staff Sergeant Moreno. All right. When I got to McAllis, was my first duty station as a sergeant major. I was a boot sergeant major. Frock, wasn't even getting paid yet. I go to, leaving 2-5, going to the air wing. I didn't know what I was doing. There was female Marines there. I didn't know. Luckily, Staff Sergeant Moreno checked in and completely saved me from probably doing all kinds of things wrong, to nail length and color and hairdos and all that stuff. She schooled me, and she was a retention specialist also. But thank you, Staff Sergeant, very much, and a happy birthday. Her husband is a veteran also, Jose, and our friend Carlos. Thank you guys for coming, appreciate it. Joshua Payne and Zach Farkas also work with us. Pleasure you guys can make it. Really, really happy to be there. Joshua, thanks for being my brother. Thanks for everything you guys do for me. Thank you all. Please, one more round of applause for our guests. Okay, I do have one C story. I read a book, and I read a book a whole lot. I read this one book, none others. I just read one book. It's a book you may have heard of, and if you haven't, shame on you, and if you haven't read it yet, read it again. Read it, I've memorized it. It's a small, short book, so Weapons Company, you guys will be good to go. It's short. There's even a couple pictures in there. All right, I love weapons. It's a book called A Message to Garcia. You heard of it? Mr. Duke Garcia, I won't recite the whole book to you, but I will read a short excerpt from it. It is powerful, and it's all about being that Marine. Being that Marine that goes and does what, and I'm not going to give the book away, delivering that message. Just doing what you're supposed to be doing. Doing what everyone expects you to do. Okay, not trying to game the game and work your way up somehow, some kind of different way, but just be a Marine. That's all your leaders want you to do. When you become a leader, you'll know that's all you want your Marines to do. Short excerpt, let me read it here. And I made it big because I can't see anymore. It's an excerpt called Horse Sense. If you work for a man, in heaven's name, work for him. If he pays wages that supply you your bread and butter, work for him. Speak well of him, think well of him, and stand by him. And stand by the institution he represents. I think if I worked for a man, I would work for him. I would not work for him part of his time, but all of his time. I would give an undivided service or none. If put to a pinch, an ounce of loyalty is worth a pound of cleverness. If you must vilify, condemn, and eternally disparage, why, resign your position. And when you're on the outside, damn to your heart's content. But I pray to you, so long as you are part of an institution, do not condemn it. Not that you will injure the institution, not that. But when you disparage the concern of which you are part of, you disparage yourself. And don't forget, I forgot, won't work in business. Now, what that means to me, and it should mean to all of you, and I'll show you how it played out in my C story here in a second. Do what you're supposed to do. It's that easy. Work hard. And then protect our service. Protect what you've earned. You heard the Commandant say it. The Sergeant Major says it. Sergeant Major Marine Corps. Protect what you've earned. Here's my C story. I was with the 31st MEU, 2-5. Retreat Hill. There's no 2-5 Marines in here? 31st MEU. Just got back from Liberty in Korea. And Marines are doing what Marines do on Liberty. What do? Train, party, have a good time. I'm the first sergeant. I get the call, of course, that a Marine is in trouble. Two Marines got in a fight in town. They're going to ruin Liberty for everybody. The MEU commander was very upset with the BLT once again because that's where all the problems are with the BLT. So he calls us all, secures Liberty. We're all on the flight deck of the USS Essex, middle of the night. Whole battalion there. Sergeant Major reported to the colonel, said, we're up. Sir, the MEU commander comes out. Not very happy with the BLT once again. And we're only halfway through the MEU. So no Liberty port is what we're thinking from here on out. MEU commander calls the battalion commander up. Sir, Colonel, tell me what happened. Said, well, sir, the Marines are out in town. They got an altercation with some other service members, and it didn't turn out very well for the other service members. I said, very well, give me the Marines up here. The second Marine, he was on duty, he didn't come up, I think he was hiding out. But the corporal, 0341, he comes up, reports to the regimental, or the MEU commander, and the commander says, son, tell me what happened. I said, sir, we're out in town minding our own business, of course, what Marines do. We got kind of loud. 2 Army guys came up and said, and started talking trash about the Marines. Colonel not really believing the whole story, but he said, tell me the truth, what happened? He said, sir, the whole bar is witness to the event. They were talking trash about the Marine Corps. He said, son, you just created an international incident that's going to affect the rest of our MEU, our relationships with Korea. It's going to be catastrophic. Why would you go and do something like that? He said, were there any injuries? He said, yes, sir. The 2 soldiers are at BAS right now. He said, how about you? Did you sustain any injuries? He said, yes, sir. I got a couple of my knuckles or south bump, but I was holding, and I got him a couple of times. The MEU commander calls his adjutant up, said, adjutant, come here. Get this Marine's full name, social security number, all the information about him, and write him up right now for an Impact Navy Achievement Medal. Trust me, I don't condone going out getting in a fight, but the MEU commander told all of us, he said, no one badmouths the Marine Corps. Make it simple. So call Sergeant Major Noel when you get in trouble tonight, don't call me. Protecting your institution, that's what it's all about. Do what you're supposed to do as Marines and represent us well. There's no way I would ever have gotten to the place that I'm in if I didn't have people taking care of me. And that's it. Do what you're supposed to do. My last real quick C story, the first time I got introduced to 3-3, again with 2-5 in Fallujah. We got attached to 3-3, just my company, Golf Company 2-5, attached to 3-3 in Fallujah. The battalion commander came out and said, welcome 2-5, okay, this is what we do, we got, told us our AORs, and this is what you're going to be doing. Thanks for coming out, thanks for supporting. I got one rule for you. He said, I will get you ammo. If someone is worth shooting once, shoot him again. 3-3 is where I need to go. He told us that, and we had a great time in Fallujah. I'm going to leave you with this. Again, I would not be where I am today without my beautiful wife, Janet. Yes, I saved it to the end on purpose. will be 30 years. I had many deployments. I was gone a lot. She raised 5 beautiful, well-disciplined daughters. I couldn't be more grateful and blessed. I heard that. I know where you are, Weapons Company. I heard that. One of my daughters is here tonight, Lance Corporal CC Arrest. Yes, she is a legal specialist, so she'll be busy tonight, I'm sure. She can give you legal advice when you get arrested. Don't do it. Marines, Trinity, America's Battalion, that's what I was. God bless you all. Thank you very, very much for having me tonight. Have fun, celebrate, Semper Fidelis, Hammerhead 9 out.